Hey guys, Toby Mathis here, and today we're going to go over NFTs, non-fungible tokens. Going to kind of break them down as to what they are, what they're not, why people are using them, why they're kind of this, like right now, it's kind of a hot item, why there's so much money. I think the last time I looked, I think it was, $2 billion a month in transactions are taking place in NFTs. It's kind of funky when you really, look at it, because not a lot of people could even really explain what it is. I'll kind of give you the marketplaces right now. If you're going to go buy them, where you go look is OpenSea, Foundation, and Rarible. Those are the big ones. Rarible, not Rarible, but OpenSea I think is the biggest, probably the easiest to use. But you go in and basically you're buying what really amounts to a piece of economic data, or not economic data, but of digital data that is on a blockchain, which is all these computers creating a network that verify a transaction, but it's still sitting on a website. This is the part that I have difficulty with, because as an asset protection attorney, it's kind of like betting on a bank, and I don't know what the bank's financial condition would be. If I give the bank a bunch of money and they go bankrupt, do I get my money back? If you remember 2008, 9, and 10, as these banks were collapsing, sometimes you had federal insurance on it and you'd get some of the money back, but there was companies here in Las Vegas, I know, that lost millions of dollars because the bank went under. So I always go and say, who's holding it? If it's really valuable, is it something I can stick on a wallet? I don't necessarily think I could just take control of it. It has to be verified, so I believe it has to sit on these networks. But anyway, I'm getting way ahead of myself. Let's break down what an NFT is, what kind of the definition for it, and what it's used for. So first off, whenever we start going over a word or a series of words like a non-fungible token, we kind of have to define what the heck it is. What is a non-fungible versus fungible? Well, here's the easy one. Fungible is something where it is identical to other units of that type of measure. So for example, a fungible asset is fiat currency like cash or a dime. I like to use the dime. So a dime is a dime is a dime, right? You get a dime, they're all a dime, they're all the same. Non-fungible means it's different. Every single one is different. So artwork, for example, like I could paint a picture, like I have two kitties, right? I could paint a picture of my cats, and I could paint another picture of my cats, but they're not the same. They're different, right? It's not just like a photograph or a print where they're all the same. This is uniqueness. And so when we start looking at that uniqueness, this is really what the NFT is all about. It's tracking uniqueness and ownership, and it's decentralized, similar to your Bitcoin and Ethereum. In fact, in order to do NFTs, you got to be using the Ethereum network. But similar to that, to where there's no central holding period. It's not like a bank where like there might be a central bank. This is decentralized, which means you have this huge network of computers verifying the ownership and verifying the uniqueness. And so that's what makes these so interesting, because we can now say, I can see exactly who owned it. I can see exactly who the owner is. I can see when it was uploaded or created. And I don't have any like, hey, do I have an accurate piece of artwork in real world? Let's say we had tangible, so non-fungible tokens. They're really intangible. They're digital representation. What if I had the physical, like I had a piece of art and I had this piece of art and hey, it's authentic. I'd have to have somebody telling me it's authentic, right? Well, what if somebody paid him off and said, hey, say it's real and it's not? Here, there's no one person who says, oh yeah, this is right. It's a series of computers that are tracking it, saying, yeah, this was created on this date and here's the series of owners, so you know when you buy it that it's yours, right? So big things. Let's kind of look at it. Here's other fungible items just to bring this home. When we're doing, since we're talking blockchain, let's look at digital currency. Bitcoin, it's fungible. Ethereum, fungible. A one coin of Ethereum or 1 unit of Ethereum is the same as another unit of Ethereum, right? They're given the same value. They're identical. Whereas the non-fungible stuff, is really, in my my neophyte way of explaining it, is like art or songs. Hey, it could be the same singer, but it's two different songs, two different versions. I sang it live over here, and I recorded it over here, and I did it in this studio. Same song. No songs are the same. Get it? So there's always going to be a version, and then we can actually track that. So realistically, what is that NFT then? Is basically data in the blockchain. It's evidence of ownership and uniqueness on the blockchain. That's what I'm buying, right? Because all it is I'm getting a digital. It could be we'll use the NBA for an example. You may buy a group of dunks. Hey, here's 4 pictures of dunks or videos of dunks that you can actually buy and now own. It's yours. Or in some cases, they'll license it to you. You won't even have ownership, but you're going in and saying, all right, I know this is the owner. I'm actually licensing it from the real owner. I don't even want to talk about that because I think it's kind of garbage. But if we're buying it, then you can actually resell it. And so where do you get kind of the two sides of this are the creators. I'm the artist who's creating something. And I'm sure there's going to be people that create contracts or create rights to use a token to do something. But for right now, what I'm seeing is a lot of artists, people that have something that's unique about them. For example, Snoop Dogg came out with a string of tokens. Each token is a little bit different. And because it's Snoop Dogg, people are lining up, and they're buying it and they're pushing up the value. Tiger Woods did that. The NBA's done that. Let me see if I can find any others. I have a few written down. Oh, I was kind of joking, saying, what if Hunter Biden did that? You can have a piece of my art. The big one was Beeple, who is an artist, goes by that name. I forget his real name. Sold a piece of art that was 5,000 days of art creation, all contained in one. Like it looks like this crazy image, but it's 5,000 individual pieces of art that were made each day for 5,000 days. So he worked on it for 5,000 days. He sold it for $69 million. Yeah, $69 million. So we're seeing some pretty crazy activity. And again, I'm saying $2 billion a day. And then there's all these others. What's the Bored Ape? I think there's like 10,000 versions of this image of an ape that if you ever follow Reddit, what's been going on in the markets with AMC and Gamestop, and you hear about all these meme stocks, apes together strong. Here's a visual depiction. Here's somebody where they're actually like there's celebrities buying these. They get together, they have meetings, they go out on yachts and stuff like that. So if you buy one of these coins, you kind of get the key to come in and rub shoulders with these people. But the problem is now is the coins are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. I think some of them have gone considerably more. So what you'll see is somebody minting a coin and offering it, which is an initial coin offering. And they might create the things, I think there were cyberpunks and kitties and a bunch of these others, where they came up with a set number of images as a package. There's not going to be any more, so there becomes scarcity, uniqueness, and now you can show ownership. And these things are going for, in some cases, it's millions of dollars. So where do you produce and sell these things? You produce, the only one I know is MetaMask, which is an extension on Chrome where you go and you can upload certain things. You create like a wallet in there. You have to bring in your Ethereum to pay something called gas to actually get into the program. I think it's like $50 or something along those lines. But you're going to then create your own coin. You're going to create you're showing that this is my property. I've uploaded it. I mint this. I have uniqueness. I have ownership. And then you're going to go out and you're going to sell it. So you're going to sell it on OpenSea, Foundation, and Rarible, as we kind of talked. Now, here's the issue, what's going on. So we have the Bored Ape and all these others where we kind of know, hey, there's actually a market for it. We hear about celebrities going out and buy it and everything. But like all art, about 99% of it isn't worth anything, right? It's not worth anything right now. because there's no uniqueness about it. Hey, you're one artist of a million, and until you do something that causes people to want to collect your art, it doesn't have any value. It's like a lot of things where there's 1,000 folks out there and one of them is making money and the rest of them aren't. And so you have a lot of artists putting these things out. Now, you'll see activity on this and you'll see something buying and selling and you go, hey, that looks like there's a lot of activity. People really want that. The problem with these digital NFTs or digital property like this, where you cannot see who the actual, like all I get to know is that it was purchased by this particular username who's also on this thing. Like, we don't see the people unless they tell you, hey, this is me and I bought this, right? Otherwise, you're just seeing, Mr. Whiskers over here bought this, and Big Shot Las Vegas bought this one, and New York Yankee fan bought this one. Like, whatever the situation is, they have screen names and they're buying these things. It could all be the artist or the artist network trying to drive up the price and create interest. So there could be some smoke and mirrors. And that's where, like, I've just never really looked at NFTs as being something I would invest in, because I invest in assets, things that pay you. So unless there was a stream of income attached to it, I probably would never buy. Plus, you have this huge amount of risk. The risk is obviously I don't know how these things are held. So the website goes down, boom, you're toast. I believe that actually is what happens. Like, you have to be taking a little bit of a gamble, but risk reward, you get these huge rewards. There's obviously a ton of risk. And then you don't know, because you can't really see the buying and selling of it. You don't know how much of that is legit versus how much of that is, a group. Let's say I set up 10 accounts and I used account 1 and bought it, and then I bid it up and bought it from account 2. Account 2 sold it to account 3. Account 3 sold it to account 4. And you're not aware that this is all me. And you're looking out there and you get into the fray and start, hey, I'll buy it. And then somebody else offers to buy it from you, and it's driving the price up a little bit more. And you're like, oh my gosh, these things are great. We don't know how much of that's actually taking place to drive it up and get more interest than is necessarily real to drive up the prices. The areas that I do see NFTs being pretty strong, or when the brand, like the NBA is being pretty good at this. I already mentioned Tiger Woods. There's a soccer, I forget the soccer, what is it called? Sorare, Sorare, Sorare for soccer. There's been, Tom Brady went out and did a thing. Gronkowski did some coins, like, and who they are, and they're making big fanfare, and everybody wants to get something that is very unique. And obviously you hold it a long time, kind of like, I don't know, like collecting other art, maybe wine. It's going to get more valuable with age. That's the idea. So there are people that have made a killing in NFTs, trading NFTs, because people want them. So I mentioned a couple. The big one is the Bored Ape. I wish I had some of the images. Maybe somebody could throw that on this video so you can see what I'm talking about. You might say, oh, Jimmy Fallon bought that, and oh, this person bought that, and oh, I heard about that, and you'd recognize it. Is it an investment for somebody like me? No, it's something you play with. I think of it like gambling. If you want to go do it, by all means, go out and do it. It could be a hobby. It's like collecting cars, maybe. It's like going down to the casino and playing your favorite game. It's not really an investment. It's more play, and it is gambling. Hey, maybe I buy something that everybody wants. Maybe I buy the next, whatever it is, Cyberpunk or whatever it was, where there's only so many, and all of a sudden people start collecting them. Then they want more, and I'm sitting on one, and I'm like, yes. There was actually groups that did that bought groups of them, and and they do well when they take that speculation. Just remember that it's 1 of 1,000, probably even worse odds than that actually take off like that. If you are an artist or a creator, by all means, this might be an interesting way to get your work out there and get exposure, so people see who you are. That might be great. But from an investment standpoint, I tend to look at them and go, Now, the next question, tax lawyer, asset protection attorney, is how to hold it. And then this is, again, a kind of a question mark. I would assign my ownership into an LLC and treat it like a safe asset. In other words, this is just digital property. Is it going to create a bunch of liability for you? I can't see it creating liability for you. I can't see it just buying an NFT. It does not create liability for you. I don't know how that would happen. It's not like somebody's going to slip and fall on your NFT, right? You might have some dispute as to ownership at some point, but that's what the whole blockchain is about, is it minimizes that stuff and makes it pretty much insignificant. So maybe somebody says, hey, this person minted their coin and uploaded it and they stole it from me. I don't see how you'd be liable. Like the worst case scenario is, again, you lose your investment. So I would place it into a safe LLC, probably in a jurisdiction like Wyoming, where I would assign it so that if anybody ever comes after me, that my NFTs are safe. And again, if you want to get in this realm, you're getting into this not as an investment, but more as a gambling and more of a hobby thing, where you're saying, hey, this could be fun. And I shouldn't use the term hobby because I'm a tax lawyer, but realistically, this is going to be an investment from you. You're gambling and you're hoping something's going to be really valuable. This isn't something that we buy to generate revenue. We're just hoping that maybe there's more desire for it. But if you're somebody who likes collecting things, you like baseball cards, comic books, you like collecting stamps or whatever, or you're always looking for new art and you love particular artists and things like that, this may give you another avenue. Where are you going to hang it? It's not going to be in your house, but you may hang it in the metaverse. You may be buying something inside of this new digital world that's being created as we speak, and you're going to hear a lot about that over the next few years. And you have the companies like Meta, old Facebook, that is going full on in, and then you see other companies that have done very similar things in other avenues. A lot of gaming companies, and then you even have like eXp Realty, where they create this digital world where they're transacting business. You're going to see a lot of that. And so then the question is, hey, can I take my digital data, my digital art, and move it into some of these mechanisms? And I guess the answer to that one is a possibility. I think that's actually going to be something that happens. I don't know how they're going to bridge it, but they're talking about NFT 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. Maybe it's something in the 4.0, 5.0, but there's somehow, some way, I have a feeling that eventually the things that you're acquiring in your, in this metaverse or in this NFT zone where it's digital, that there should be some crossover and that you might be able to get some benefit out of it somewhere else. So anyway, so that's it for NFTs. I know I gave you a lot. Hopefully it's helping you understand what they are a little bit better, and you kind of understand even what the NFT actually means. Is it a token? No, it's not a token, but it is a piece of data. Again, think of it as a audio clip. It could be video. It could be an image. It could be just about anything that is represented by a digital clip of data. And think of it as, again, it's kind of like on your computer. If you can upload it, chances are then it could be made into an NFT. You can mint your own coin or you can buy somebody else's, right? But hopefully this is giving you some idea of what it actually is going on in that world, and when you give you a little different perspective when you start hearing stories. All right. Hey, if you like this type of data, please click like and subscribe and share it with anybody you think could benefit from this information.